Welcome to Deputy PMQs with Graham Hughes. Who have we got in the chat? We've got blah blah CW, we've got Millie Allen, we've got Gallifreyan Wren, we've got Simon Smith in the chat. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, then you can join the chat. We'll head over to see what is being said in the Commons at the moment. Hilary Benn is on his feet.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I can't begin to imagine what the victims of the recent disorder felt and experienced, and the devastation that has brought.
Okay, people are talking there. I find it a bit rude that when women talk in Parliament, they tend to be drowned out by men talking over them. It's Deputy PMQs this week. David Lammy standing in for Keir Starmer, who's at the NATO summit. And then next week is going to be Keir Starmer's last PMQs as Prime Minister. Before he steps down in favour of Andy Burnham. There you go. So, yeah, this is just questions about Northern Ireland. We can turn this up if you want. Just have a little
to
bit
bring
of a
the community together.
Look into what's happening.
And it was
in
noticeable
right
that in the recent disorder we saw in Belfast, it was not replicated in Ballymena. Now that is an example of communities working together to build that trust and respect. We need to see a lot more of it.
Colin Lockhart.
Speaker, does the Secretary of State accept that while there can never
Farage
be
isn't
any
there.
excuse for criminal disorder, there
Farage
is
isn't
equally
there.
no excuse for a border policy that leaves Northern Ireland exposed. How many more incidents will it take before he and this government actually deal with the open border with the Republic of Ireland, which is being exploited daily? And when will this government put in place measures to protect our citizens from illegal immigrants?
Oh, fuck off.
The Honourable Lady will recognise that the common travel area, which is more than a century old, is of great benefit to the citizens of the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland. Many people in Northern Ireland live their lives across that border every single day. And anyone who would suggest, and I know that she isn't, that somehow there should be immigration controls on that border is not being realistic, and it would not be the appropriate action to take. What we are doing, as I indicated in answer to an earlier question, is increasing immigration enforcement activity across the United Kingdom, including in Northern Ireland, as a result of which 1,000 people have been removed in the 2 years since the election, including 500 returned to the Republic of Ireland.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the Secretary of State join me in commending the officers of the PSNI who have responded to recent disorder with professionalism and integrity? Does he agree with me that they deserve the very best support, including a modern, high-quality training facility? And can he give this House an update when that is going to be funded?
Well, I join the honourable gentleman in his thanks and praise to the brave officers of the PSNI. My honourable friend and I visited the police officers at Strandtown Police who dealt with the disorder when the bus was set on fire on the 10th of June, and over 40 of them were injured, and we wish them a speedy recovery. I know that the honourable member is a doughty advocate for the new training centre, and I look forward to discussing the matter further with him.
Happy birthday to the Leader of the House. We now come to the Deputy Prime Minister's questions, and we start with Paul Holmes.
Hilary Benn, I thought he was dead.
Question number one, sir.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I've been asked to reply on behalf of the Prime Minister who's attending the NATO summit. Working with our allies, we're strengthening Europe's role in the alliance that remains the cornerstone of our national security. Yesterday, the Prime Minister met with the Prime Minister of Norway, and I'm sure this House will join me in wishing good luck to the England team ahead of the World Cup quarter-finals. Mr. Speaker,
I missed that.
Mr. Speaker, this week we mark the awful anniversary of 7/7, a day when people travelling through London on a bright summer morning had their lives ended and changed forever, including my best friend, James Adams. We remember all those affected by those terrible attacks, and we will always stand against terrorism. And Mr. Speaker, the Labour Party also pays tribute to Sir George Howarth. He was a champion for Knowsley, a distinguished colleague, and a wonderful, wonderful gentleman. We'll miss him deeply, and our condolences are with his wife Julie and his family. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Paul Wells.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I entirely associate myself with the Deputy Prime Minister's opening and personal remarks? Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister and the Right Honourable Gentleman from Makerfield are both proud football fans. So given that the Deputy Prime Minister clearly thinks the Prime Minister has always been match fit, how does he feel that his own MPs are given the boss the red card and brought on a left winger to get them out of the relegation zone?
That was a strained analogy.
That's not bad for someone who represents a Premier League side. But 2 years since the election, the honourable member still needs to engage with the facts of the Tories' failed period in government. As his colleagues now accept this, the former Treasury Minister, the former Community Secretary, the former Health Minister, the former Immigration Minister, and that's just the member for Newark. He wrecked the country, helped wreck the Tory party, and now wants to do it all over again with reform.
Jeff Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In 3 weeks' time, Greater Manchester residents will have the chance to vote for Labour's brilliant candidate, Bev Craig, to be I've worked with Bev for many years, so I know her strong record as a leader and what an outstanding mayor she'll be. Will the Deputy Prime Minister join me in welcoming Bev's pledge to extend free travel on public transport to all 11 to 18-year-olds? So all our young people in Greater Manchester can have the independence to travel to the work, education and leisure opportunities they deserve.
Well, I agree with my honourable friend. Bev Craig will be a brilliant mayor for Greater Manchester. I'm proud that Labour is putting power over bus services back in the hands of local leaders. This government has extended franchising powers, capped fares, invested to deliver better services, and we're ensuring children can enjoy free bus travel this summer. I'm sure colleagues will want to get behind Bev in Greater Manchester so that we can defeat Reform's divisive candidate and drive the agenda forward under a new mayor.
Shall the Secretary of State, Sir James Cleverly?
Didn't answer the question. God, no way.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to echo the Right Honourable Gentleman's tribute to Sir George Howarth and pass on my party's condolences to his friends, family and loved ones. I also wish to echo his support and encouragement to the England football team in their forthcoming match against Norway. And of course, I will echo his words about those people murdered on 7/7, their friends, their families, but also pay tribute to the emergency services that did so much on that day. Will he apologise to the victims of the rapists, sexual predators and paedophiles that he is planning to release early?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm delighted to welcome the Shadow Housing Secretary to the dispatch box. He, of course, could have been doing this job every week if he were better with numbers. He's the Foreign Secretary. He was the Foreign Secretary in government that botched Brexit, the Home Secretary in a government that decimated neighbourhood policing, and one of the shortest-serving education secretaries in our history. Now, he asks about a very serious issue, and every decision we have taken has been based on public safety and delivering justice for victims. Let's talk about the context. The last Labour government built 28,000 prison places. We're building 14,000 by 2031. We've already delivered 3,200. Under the Tories, they closed 23 prisons. 23. Gloucester closed. Shrewsbury closed. Portsmouth closed. Holloway closed. Northallerton closed. And what are they now? A block of flats. That's why we have to have an early release scheme. That's why we passed the Sentencing Act. And we're putting community powers locally to make sure that we protect the public.
Sir James Cleverly.
Mr. Speaker, he makes a joke about use of figures. Let me give him a figure. 50,000 prisoners released early in just 2 years, on his watch. And I am genuinely shocked. Mr. Speaker, that when given the opportunity to apologise to victims, he very publicly failed to do so. And let me remind him what this is about. Let me quote Fiona Goddard, herself a victim of grooming gangs, who has been brave and open about how his policy will impact her. And she says, "Finding out that they may be released early has completely set me back. I have barely left the house. I feel constantly anxious, frightened, and unsafe. I can barely sleep." This is the impact his policy is having on victims. He refuses to apologise. But why is he pursuing a policy which he must know is both wrong and dangerous?
This is a very serious issue, and the honourable gentleman is experienced in this House. He knows that while he was Home Secretary, they had an early release scheme that set out 10,000 offenders, 10,000 under his... They had 6 schemes within a year. They had a scheme that they announced on the 6th of June 2023, another scheme on the 17th of October 2023, another scheme on the 8th of March 2024, another in April, another in May, another in June, all before the election. And that's why Rishi Sunak, it's rumoured, called the election in the first place. They left a system with just 83 empty cells. That's what the Justice Secretary previous to me inherited when she came into office. That's why we had to pass a sentencing scheme. He hasn't said what they would do now to fix the system. Of course we think of every victim. And that's why we're notifying victims in discussion with all victims. I sat last week in my surgery with a victim of grooming gangs. All of us want to see offenders locked up. That's why we've got to have prison capacity.
Sir James Cleverly.
Mr. Speaker, he talks about 10,000 early release over 14 years of Conservative government. They have released 50,000 in 2 years. And he knows it's wrong. He is a good man. He must know that it is wrong to release 5,000 serious criminals, including rapists, including paedophiles. And not only does he know it's wrong, but his party knows it's wrong. 400 Labour MPs and not one voted to support the government's policy in the vote last night. They know it's wrong. The country knows it's wrong, but he insists on pursuing it anyway. So if he will not change course, will he at least make this guarantee that not one rapist or paedophile will be released early later on this year?
He hasn't proposed what they would do if they were in office. They released 10,000 with 4 different schemes, no impact assessment when they released them, no victim contact when they released them, no warning. They did it on the slide. And let us be clear, yes, we've got more probation officers. They, of course, cut probation, decimated it because of Chris Grayling. We've invested £700 million in probation. We're rolling out the largest programme of tagging in our history. We're forcing offenders to stay boxed in certain areas rather than where victims are. We're creating alcohol, pub, football and driving bans. We're implementing income reduction orders, and we're expanding chemical castration for sex offenders. None of it happened when they were in power.
Sir James Cleverly.
Mr. Speaker, he will look back on this exchange and I think he will be shocked by how this is coming across. No apology to the victims, no guarantee that paedophiles and rapists will not be released early. We all know that releasing dangerous criminals on purpose is the wrong thing, but not content with doing that, he is hell-bent on releasing dangerous criminals by accident. Last year, in response to the questions of my right honourable friend, the member for South Suffolk, he claimed that under Labour he had got a grip of accidental releases. Yet we now know there have been more accidental releases in the last 2 years than in the entirety of the last Parliament. So I give him another chance. Will he apologise to the country for his abject failure at keeping prisoners in prison where they belong?
I've got to say, this is rich coming from the honourable gentleman. Exactly. They had 14 long years in power. They wrecked neighbourhood policing. He was Home Secretary. Prisons were at bursting point. That's why they called the general election. And they let out offenders in secret. And that is why we have the Sentencing Act that passed through this House and the House of Lords. What we're doing is we are getting thousands more bobbies on the beat. We're toughening up probation. They've decimated it. And we have to have the space to knock up dangerous criminals. That's why we passed the sentencing bill.
Sir James Cleverly.
Mr. Speaker, it's the dangerous criminals that he is letting out early. So he refuses to apologise to victims, he refuses to guarantee that sexual offenders and rapists will not be released early. Another thing that the country and indeed this House knows instinctively is wrong is his personal crusade to scrap trial by jury. We know that it will not clear the backlog. We know that it undermines fundamental British freedoms, and we know the legal profession is united against it.
Why is there a backlog?
Will he now admit that it is wrong, and will he commit to reverse his proposals to scrap trial by jury?
Well, let's be clear, Mr. Speaker. There is no proposal before this House to scrap trial by jury. The honourable member needs to do better and get on the detail. There is a threshold change. There is a threshold change. Margaret Thatcher made a change to jury trials. David Cameron made a change to jury trials. The vast majority of criminal cases in this country are dealt with by magistrates, again, which they cut. We're restoring the magistrate, and they can do more. We're investing in our courts. They ran our courts down. We're modernising our courts. We're introducing digital ID, and we need reform.
Sir James Cleverly.
Mr. Speaker, he talks in glowing terms about what he's claiming to do. What we are actually seeing this government doing is stripping money from where it's needed and squandering it on the welfare bill, which is ballooned by £20 billion this year.
58% of it is on pensions.
He talks about getting over the detail. Here's a simple detail for him. When I was Home Secretary, we had more police officers than at any point in British history. Since taking over, that number has dropped by over 2,000 officers. Mr. Speaker, the dispatch box last week, my right honourable friend, the Leader of the Opposition, highlighted this government's failure to defend us internationally. Today, I have outlined his failure to defend us domestically. If the soon-to-be Prime Minister... Is he in the room anywhere? No. If the soon-to-be Prime Minister does not want to be complicit in his failure, he should come out and condemn this plan, not just hint that he opposes it. Because if Labour cannot protect the citizens of this country, either domestically or internationally, then what on earth is the point of them?
Mr. Speaker, he insists on proving that he can't count. We lost 16,000 police officers when they were in power. Mr. Speaker, the British people haven't forgotten what the party opposite did to our country. After 2 years of a Labour government, I'll compare our record every day of the week. Their record is the biggest fall in living standards in recorded history. Our record is the biggest upgrade to workers' rights in a generation. Their record is wrecking our criminal justice system. Our record is bringing down violent crime. Their record is millions of people stuck on NHS waiting lists. Our record is cutting NHS waiting lists, the fastest rate in history. Their record is cutting defence. He was a reservist. They hollowed out the armed forces. Our record is the biggest boost to defence spending since the early 1990s. And their record is plunging hundreds of thousands of children into poverty. Our record is lifting 500,000 of children out of poverty. I'll take our record over theirs any day of the week.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Family C official report about the most depraved sexual abuse of children identifies serious failures by Glasgow City Council and other bodies. The report, Mr. Speaker, says one child victim banged on the windows, shouting at a health visitor not to leave. This was treated as streetwise and not a desperate cry for help. Staff described the same child with contempt, saying the child's behaviour was nasty and interfering. The children desperately needed compassion, love and safety, not contempt. Does my right honourable friend agree with me that the Council must accept robust, independent scrutiny of what has happened and independent scrutiny of the implementation of improvements?
Well, Mr. Speaker, this case involves horrific offences against vulnerable children. I know all members of this House will join me in paying tribute to the victims who've shown remarkable bravery in coming forwards. It's evident that these children were dreadfully failed, and Glasgow City Council must urgently act on the recommendations of this review. I know my honourable friend has written to the Scottish Government to request an independent inquiry. The SNP should consider this request with the gravity that it deserves.
Daisy Cooper, Deputy Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I associate myself and my party with the Deputy Prime Minister's tribute to Sir George Howarth, his remarks about the 7/7 bombings and all those who live with the consequences of that terrible day, and wish England good luck for Saturday evening. And as the UK braces for its 7th Prime Minister in a decade, can I also thank the Deputy Prime Minister for our exchanges and wish him well in whatever role he may have. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Member for Clacton used to say...
There isn't one.
Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Member for Clacton used to say...
There isn't one.
Leave means leave. But it seems his latest stunt is to leave this place just so that he can return as a fully fledged member after not just one referendum on his behaviour, Mr. Speaker, but possibly 2. So will the Deputy Prime Minister join us in urging the Chancellor to delay the Honourable Member for Clacton's resignation until the investigation is complete, so the good people of Clacton have all the facts before they cast their votes? And failing that, will he support our Clacton clause so that even once the Honourable Member ceases to be an MP, the investigations can continue?
Well, everyone can see that the Reform leader is just trying to distract from the fact that he's up to his neck in sleaze. Yeah. He's got serious questions to answer and he can't run away from them. Labour isn't going to be part of this circus. I hear it's the people versus the establishment, the city trader, Putin admiring professional politician who's pals with crypto billionaires versus Count Binface.
Yes! Woo! Yeah!
There have been unqualified joke candidates in the past. Let's see what the people of Clacton decide.
Daisy Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's clear it's a 2-horse race.
Even Sarah Puchin and Leanderthal were laughing then.
Mr. Speaker, on a more serious and very sombre note. On a sombre note, Mr. Speaker, on a sombre note, MI5 has defended in court an agent that they knew to be openly misogynistic, obsessed with violence, and who used his position to coercively control his girlfriend Beth and attack her with a machete. To add insult to injury, MI5 also gave false evidence to the court. So will the Deputy Prime Minister use this opportunity to offer Beth a full apology on behalf of the government? And will he use his position to bring back a full Hillsborough bill next week which covers the security services so that we can pass the law before the summer recess?
Well, she raises a very serious issue, of course, and I will arrange for Beth to meet with the Security Minister to discuss this in detail. She also raises the Hillsborough Bill, and I'm confident that this will be before the House in the coming days.
Emily Darlington.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Deputy Prime Minister and most of us across this House have been victims of AI-generated fake news, aka deepfakes. These mislead the public and they disrupt our democracy. BBC News coverage and coverage from other news channels is also being AI manipulated to tell untruths. Will he, alongside MPs from across this House, support the amendments I've tabled to the Representation of Peoples Act, which would force anything that is AI created to be labelled as such and stop the production of deep fakes of ourselves and colleagues, and stop the UK from these destructive tactics used by foreign states and others who wish to see our democracy made weaker?
Well, I'm very grateful to my honourable friend. She's right that our protections must keep pace with evolving threats, including deepfakes. I know she's been in close discussions with ministers on this issue, and we will look at her amendment closely. We're absolutely focused on protecting our democracy against foreign interference.
Dr. Ellie Chard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our politics needs fixing fast. The broken, outdated first-past-the-post system has clearly failed to deliver stable government. We urgently need to rebuild trust in our democracy and ensure that everybody's vote counts equally. So does the Deputy Prime Minister agree with the Right Honourable Member for Makerfield that proportional representation is an idea whose time has come? And does he agree with me and members across this House that time is now, before the next general election?
Well, I'm very pleased that she raises the issue of votes and democracies. But I've got to say this to the Greens. During the local elections, a Green councillor in Lewisham described me and the Shadow Foreign Secretary as coconuts. Her party looked the other way, kept her candidate in post, and have rewarded that candidate with a council job. I'm not making this up, the Cabinet Member for Healing. The Greens could start a healing process by stopping such racist language.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This week marks the second anniversary of our Labour government, and 2 years on, my Western Bartonshire constituents now enjoy greater rights at work. Thousands of workers are now better off thanks to increases in national minimum wage. Thousands of children lifted out of poverty. Tens of millions of pounds in Pride in Place funding to communities previously left behind. Shipbuilding on decline secured with the Norwegian naval deal. Billions of pounds investment in Fast Lane. As well as a new youth hub set to open next month.
I think even the one of us is sitting down, it's not me. I think the Deputy Prime Minister could even answer that because he wants to answer.
Well, can I commend my honourable friend for the difference that he's made, including his hard work to bring Pride of Place funding to his constituency. He lists an amazing record in 2 years, and we've got 3 more to go, Mr. Speaker.
James Van Berdel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Understandably, over the past week, rules and regulations have come under sharp focus. But even more important than the rules and regulations
is the guy beats
is the
his
law.
girlfriend.
And on that topic, I believe there are a number of things where everyone in the House can agree. and everyone in the House can feel proud.
Like beating up your girlfriend is against the law.
Without fear and favour, and symbols such as Lady Justice wearing a blindfold. Now, I'd like to ask the Deputy Prime Minister, however well-meaning actions from the MPCC and the College of Policing with their programmes such as the Race Action Plan may be, we have seen some very high-profile cases where civil unrest has, where faith in police has been shaken by what appears to be two-tier decision-making. So may I ask in good faith what the Deputy Prime Minister can do to reassure people that without fear and favour will always be maintained?
What the fuck? That didn't even make any fucking sense. Let's speak English, you fucking horrible white-beaten cunt.
Before the law.
What a piece of
shit. That is the foundation on which openness, tolerance and generosity in this country.
They put me in jail
for
like fucking assaulting a woman.
No two-tier justice in this country. And can I say, the Honourable Member was elected as a Reform Member of Parliament, and he clearly aspires to become one once more. Given reports that concerns were raised with the National Crime Agency about Nigel Farage's £5 million gift, he should be asking, where did the money really come from?
No law. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm deeply grateful for what the Prime Minister has helped us deliver in Cornwall the past couple of years, whether that's free breakfast clubs, urgent capital funding for GP surgeries, or the Kerno Industrial Growth Fund. However, what's held us back at various points, not beside the chuntering from the other side, I would argue completely unnecessarily, is something to which the answer is patently obvious to all in Cornwall, the question of who should be the masters of Cornwall's strategic destiny? Does he agree with me that the answer to this question must always be Cornwall? And will he make time for the government to lay the statutory instrument required to make Cornwall once and for all a strategic authority, so that when the Right Honourable Member for Makefield comes in, that we can ensure that good growth in every postcode and reindustrialisation of Cornwall?
We've took that a bit as well.
Well, can I thank my honourable friend? He's right to champion the huge potential of Cornwall. We're absolutely committed to devolution and putting power in the hands of local leaders. Conversations with local authorities, including Cornwall, are ongoing, and we will confirm next steps as soon as possible. I know ministers will be happy to update it.
Dr. Ross Savage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My constituency of the South Cotswolds is the 9th most sewage polluted constituency in the entire country, with thousands of hours of sewage pouring into the Thames, Avon and Colne. But that metric of hours conceals the truth. It doesn't convey the actual volume, and clearly a trickle is very different from a gush. So will the Deputy Prime Minister arrange for me to meet with the relevant minister to require water companies to report on the volume and concentration of sewage discharges, as well as the number of hours?
Well, she's right. We inherited record levels of pollution. We're determined to tackle this and clean our waterways. We've acted by banning unfair bonuses, introducing jail time for law-breaking bosses, unlocking $104 billion of private investment to rebuild vital infrastructure to deliver cleaner waters, and of course we've got the Clean Water Bill. Of course I'll arrange for her to meet with the Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Stourbridge is famous for many things: the glass industry, Jude Bellingham, Robert Plant, and most importantly, the Stourbridge Shuttle, the UK's shortest railway line at just 0.8 miles, or 1.3 kilometres if you prefer metric, and it links Stourbridge Junction with Stourbridge Town. Despite its small size, it achieves an impressive 99.6% reliability compared to the West Midlands average of 64.4%. And one of my highlights as an MP was unveiling a shuttle car named after local legend George the Stourbridge Station Cat, whose global social media following made him a beloved fixture at the junction.
All right, I'm bored
and
now.
Today marks the start of Shuttle Shorts. A short film festival celebrating the journey.
I don't care.
The shuttle shows how community railway
What?
can improve local
Why is she still talking about this?
Does he agree that the pre-metro ambition to introduce a VLR service between Stourbridge and Brierley Hill is a valuable opportunity for GBR, and local businesses should be supported to do this?
First, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make a statement about the future. It is coming home. And can I thank my honourable friend? I'm absolutely echo her sentiments on Jude Bellingham. He's not only making Stourbridge proud, but he's a source of pride for the whole nation. Great British Railways is in the biggest overhaul we're seeing of our railways in a generation. We'll work with all partners, including local authorities and local business, to drive investment, support economic growth and deliver better service for her constituents.
That was a fucking
Thank you very much,
mad
Mr.
question.
Speaker. Constituents in the west side of North Shropshire were delighted when RIS 3 was announced, because as part of the National Safety Programme, a roundabout at the desperately dangerous Hlunkers Crossroads became a step closer. But with the announcement that the Defence Investment Programme will be funded by cuts to transport programmes, can the Deputy Prime Minister reassure my constituents that the National Safety Programme won't be cut? And can he consider using the Liberal Democrat idea of defence bonds to fund the Defence Investment Plan, so that critical security projects like transport are not put at risk through the programme?
Yeah, I agree. Defence bonds.
We are raising defence spending to keep this country safe in an increasingly volatile world. That does require tough decisions, and the Department of Transport will set out £700 million worth of savings for roads funding, but we will consult on the next road investment strategy and set our decisions in due course. I can reassure the Honourable Lady that safety of passengers would always come first.
Pam Cox.
Thank you, Mr.
Didn't rule it out, didn't rule it in.
Ruth Ellis was the last woman to be executed in this country. Her case serves as a haunting reminder of a time when our justice system ignored the realities of domestic abuse and coercive control. In the decades since, members of Ruth's family and supporters have campaigned unwaveringly for her to receive a posthumous pardon. Will the Deputy Prime Minister agree with me that their courageous campaign and the terrible lessons of Ruth's case must strengthen the government's resolve to free women from devastating cycles of abuse?
Well, I'm very grateful to my honourable friend. I have the honour to say that His Majesty the King has accepted our advice to grant Ruth Ellis a conditional pardon, the last woman to be hanged in the United Kingdom. While the pardon does not claim she was innocent of killing David Blakely, it replaces the death penalty with a sentence of life imprisonment to recognise a profound injustice in this exceptional case. I know her grandchildren, Laura Enston, Stephen Beard, are in the gallery with us today. We hope this brings a measure of peace to Ruth Ellis' family, who have carried the weight of what happened to her for over 70 years.
Gregory Camp.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Government have said that higher taxes are needed to fund rising welfare spending. In Northern Ireland, my party's Communities Minister is taking action to reduce welfare fraud and error.
For fuck's sake,
Previous
fuck off,
discussions were
Gregory.
held between Treasury and the Department that would have allowed Northern Ireland departments to retain a share of any savings to invest directly in public services, but those proposals were blocked by Sinn Féin. Would the Deputy Prime Minister ensure
I thought
that
he said
the
he's given
incoming
a
Prime Minister
posthumous life
will
sentence?
look at that approach again so that we can tackle benefit fraud, protect taxpayers' money, as well as delivering real benefits for communities across all of Northern Ireland?
I didn't understand.
Well, I know that my honourable friend, the Minister for Northern Ireland, is discussing the budget at this very time, but tackling fraud and error in the welfare system is a priority for this government. That's why we passed the Fraud, Error and Recovery Act, giving the DWP more powers to stop fraud in its tracks, recover money lost and prevent overpayments.
Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday I was proud to host a number of Basingstoke's Nepalese community here in Parliament, including a number of Gurkha veterans. One of the issues we discussed was that of Gurkha pensions, and I pay tribute to the work of my honourable friend for Aldershot for all of her work on this issue. I've been proud to work alongside her. Does the Deputy Prime Minister agree that it is time to resolve the long-standing issue of Gurkha pensions, recognising the service and sacrifice of Gurkha veterans to our country?
Well, I'm very grateful to my honourable friend. We owe a profound debt of gratitude to the Gurkhas, who have served this country courageously. We're listening to the needs of the community, and we're already improving access to healthcare and community support. Ministers have met with veterans in the government of Nepal for constructive discussions on pensions. Those will continue, and I'd be happy to ensure that my honourable friend is kept updated.
Rebecca Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Coughlin's Bakery, which was founded in 1937, has announced the closure of all of its stores, 5 of which are in my Reigate constituency. The reasons given by Sean Coughlin include recent employer national insurance and business rate hikes. This much-loved family business that has survived a world war and multiple recessions hasn't been able to survive this Labour government. So I ask the Deputy Prime Minister, how many businesses need to go under before this government learns that it can't tax its way to growth?
We're backing business with the lowest corporation tax in the G7. We've delivered the small business plan with the largest crackdown on late payments in 25 years. We're bringing down costs of business through 5 major trade deals. We've secured $365 billion in private investments since the election, and unemployment down over 400,000 more people in work than this time last year.
Final question for Nigel Lammy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last month I had the opportunity to host the South Bank Centre in my constituency, one of the many that I'm proud to have across Vauxhall and Campbell Green, for their 75th anniversary. The House may know that the South Bank Centre was built as part of the Festival of Britain 1951, which successfully saw people come together to share the identity after the ruins of the World War II. 75 years on, Mr. Speaker, sadly the world is a more divided place. Recently, we've seen 2 far-right marches, including one go through my constituency, leaving many members feeling afraid. But, Mr. Speaker, there is hope, as we see with the World Cup bringing people together, showing the power of culture and sport. So does the Deputy Prime Minister agree with me? Now's the moment to continue to invest in the things that bring us together, just as the government did in 1951.
Well, can I thank my honourable friend for the tireless work that she does in this area. She's absolutely right. We must stand united against those who seek to divide us. Our Social Cohesion Action Plan sets out how we will tackle extremism, bring communities together and restore national pride, and we're providing local communities with up to £1.7 million to insulate them against the threats to social cohesion.
Right, that completes Deputy Prime Minister's questions. Let from bench change over.
Bye. The sound gets cut. Okay, so that was PMQs for the 8th of July 2026. I hope you enjoyed that. We'll just go through some of the things that they talked about in there. A few kind of like, again, there were a few stupid questions in there, as there always are. A few daft gotchas, which didn't really go anywhere. People in the chat were like talking about cleverly. I mean, to be honest with you, I think cleverly was a bit better at that than Kemi Badnock. I know that's not saying much, but yeah, let's go through it. Before we do, I'm just going to set a goal just for one super chat, just to keep the lights on. So anytime in the next 2 hours, if someone wants to do that, I will unleash the confetti cannon for one and all. So yeah, so the first person stand up was Paul Holmes. He was a Tory. He gave a football analogy about how Labour wrecked the Tory party. And, no. Football analogy about how they were getting a new left winger from the north and they were hoping to avoid relegation. To which Lammy stood up and said, well, the Tory party wrecked the country. They wrecked the Tory party. I was talking about one particular member of the Tory party who had like loads of different roles within the Tory party and then he moved to Reform. And this is the thing, like, the batting away the Tories is so easy for the Labour Party because all they need to do is say, well, the reason why we're in this shit is because of you. And I think it's very telling of the 24 questions that were asked in that PMQs. Only, obviously, James Cleverly got 6 questions, but of the questions that were doled out to everybody else to ask, there was only one. There was only 2, actually. There was Paul Holmes who was a Tory, and then there was Rebecca Paul at the very end who was a Tory. All the other questions came from the Lib Dems, the Greens, James McMurdoch. We'll get into that in a moment. And that's happened quite a few times in those PMQs. The Tories haven't been asking that many questions. And I think the problem is for the Tories, first of all, they've got no vision. So they've got no, and this is something that James cleverly, he kept on saying, oh, why have you done this? Why don't you do that? And Lammy kept replying to him, just saying, well, what's your plan? What's your plan for the mess that you left? So the next question was from Jeff Smith in Labour, who said, asked about free bus travel for 11 to 16-year-olds. And Lammy responded to that, talking about Bev Craig, who's running for the GM Metro Mayor seat. He didn't really answer the question about free travel for everyone who's aged 11 to 16, which would be fan-fucking-tastic if that happened. And James cleverly got up. He got 6 questions. The first one was that he wanted Lammy to apologise to the victims of crimes whose perpetrators are now going to be released early from prison as a result of the Labour bill the Labour Justice Bill. And Lammy just stands up and says, well, he talks about Brexit, policing, public safety. He talks about the last. He talks about the fact that the Tories closed 23 prisons, and had a secret early release schemes that they didn't talk about. The last, the last Labour government put in 28,000 prison places, whereas the Tories closed 23 prisons. In fact, in the next question, when cleverly went back to this thing, he said, they talked about a victim who can barely sleep because of the stress that's been brought on by the perpetrators of the crime that was committed against them being released early, which is a good point. I get it. I completely get it, where they're coming from. But then Lammy can just turn around and say, well, under you, 10,000 people were released early. A lot of that stuff was secretive. You had 6 schemes that you ran through within 1 year to try and deal with the backlog and the build-up of prisoners in jails. And when they left office, and he said, well, this is one of the reasons why they called the election early, because the election didn't need to be called till October, November that year in 2024, but it was called it was actually took place in July, but it was called at the end of May. And the fact that there was only 83 prison cells left in the entire country, 83. I mean, what do you come back to that? And then Lammy, cleverly says, well, you know this is wrong. There's 5,000 serious criminals who are going to get out early because of this, and he wanted a promise that no single rapist or paedophile would be released early. Which Lammy didn't answer that question directly. He just said, look, there's no that when the Tories released their 10,000 people early, there was no impact assessment. They did it on the sly, and they got rid of probation officers, they got rid of courts, they got rid of bobbies on the beat, all this stuff. Like Lammy was talking about, well, we're going to release people, yeah, but we're going to have alcohol bans, we're going to have tagging, we're going to have more, we're going to have electronic tagging, we're going to have more parole officers. They're looking into chemical castration for paedophiles. That sounds like really, really draconian, but some paedophiles want that. They want to be made asexual, essentially, because they don't want to have these desires. They'd rather just not have them at all. And if that's offered and they take it, then I have no problem with that. I do have a bit of a problem with people who say, I want to stay like this. But okay, then you stay in your jail cell because you're a danger. These are people who will always be a danger. They get their sexual kicks from looking at naked children or doing things to children. And they won't take the cure for that, and there is a cure. And it's not like they go around with a pair of scissors and chop people's balls off. It doesn't work like that. It's something that they take, which is actually reversible. The chemical castration that they talk about is actually reversible. But it should be offered as an alternative. They do this in other countries. They do this in Germany. They do this in other countries. And it's a shit thing to talk about. It's a horrible thing to talk about. I'd rather not have to talk about it. I'd rather talk about funny shit like Count Binface. But it's the reality of the world in which we live. Some people are sexually attracted to children, and we have to decide as a society what to do about that. And just locking them up in jail for the rest of their lives isn't the best solution to the issue. But yes, I sometimes one chemical castration I'm fucking normalish. I was thinking that there was a stand-up routine, wasn't there? Who's that Australian comedian? I forgot. He did the really funny routine about guns in America, about Americans, just like Jim Jeffries. His name is Jim Jeffries, and he was doing a whole sketch about asexual people. And it was very funny. He was just saying, look, I'd love to be asexual. Do you know how much trouble, he's pointing at his dick. He's like, do you know how much trouble this thing has got me into? It's cost me these houses. It's cost me these marriages. It's cost me all this money. It's cost me this. It's cost me that. It's cost me friendships. Yeah, very good. But yeah, it is, if that is an option, I don't have a problem with it. I think that there are many people out there, myself included, that feel like if they had those desires, if they felt that way, I wouldn't want to feel that way. I would not want to be attracted to kids. I would take that option. I genuinely would. I'm not saying that to be like, oh yeah, it was me, but I wouldn't want it. Life would be so much easier, says Cuthbert. Well, that's what Jim Jeffries says in his stand-up. He's like, what the fuck? That'd be great. But yes, oh, I am ever sick of hearing arguments over picking tax. Yeah. Go to Greg's then. Hey, listen, go to Greg's, get a vegan sausage roll. You don't even have to eat it. Every time you buy a vegan sausage roll at Greg's, Piers Morgan, a piece of Piers Morgan slips away into the ether. A bit of Piers Morgan dies. So then the fourth question from James Cavalier regarded the accidental releases in the last 2 years and asking, would Lammy apologise for failing to keep rapists in jail? Now, I don't know. I might have responded to this differently. I might have said where people have got out when they shouldn't have done. Obviously, I took responsibility for that and I have apologised before, but, if you want me to, I will apologise again. It shouldn't have happened, and we put things in place to make sure it never happened again. But we did inherit a fucked up system from the Tories, 14 years, letting prisons out in secret, fewer bobbies on the beat, fewer parole officers, etc., etc. And then the fifth question was about scrapping trial by jury. And Lammy stood up and said what I would say in this situation. We're not scrapping trial by jury. We are changing the thresholds to make more cases in court going through a magistrate rather than jury processed. And he said this is nothing new. Thatcher did this, and she did. I remember when she did, and Cameron did it as well. And also he talked about modernising courts and things like that, and bringing in digital ID, which is, but yeah, apparently being poorly understood by the wider community, targeted by Rowling, and get such well-meaning but offensive comments. You haven't met the right person yet. Yeah, being Ace Rocks. Well, no, I mean that sort of offensive comments of like you haven't met the right person yet. That's like when someone doesn't have kids, and then the first question people ask, why didn't you have kids? Why didn't you have kids? No, fuck off. It's got nothing to do with you. Don't ask those fucking questions. So yeah, I get that. Yeah, I guess there is an argument to be made that and don't forget the A in LGBTQIA stands for asexual. They're included in the gang. Hey, yeah, and their needs and their rights must be acknowledged, and that's fine with me. That's fine with me. And again, going back to J.K. Rowling having a go at asexual people, it just seemed absolutely fucking bonkers to me. Like, what harm are they doing? Those asexual people hanging about the parks, not sexually assaulting anyone on public transport, just sitting quietly reading a book. How dare they? But yeah, I mean, that seems weird to me. But you're right. I think there needs to be more acceptance of every group in society. But when I say if I had these horrific desires for children, or for animals, or for something that really, really fucked up, yeah, and the choice was there, to essentially become asexual. I'll take the asexual route every fucking time. Every fucking time. I wouldn't want to live with that. I always get asked why I don't have kids. None of your fucking... Well, you didn't write fucking business in that comment, but I'm going to add it for you. None of your fucking business. The old joke about the hitchhiker gets picked up. You tell it like as an anecdote of when you were driving in America once. You picked up a hitchhiker and he had a really heavy bag. You put it in the boot in the car, and the back of the car goes back. And you tell this joke. You tell it like it's just a story that happened to you, and they get in, and you say, "Oh yeah, what's in the bag?" And they say, "None of your fucking business." And you're like, "Excuse me, I was just asking what's in the bag. None of your fucking business." And eventually, the story goes that you pull over and tell the hitchhiker they've got to get out, and they go around the back, they open up the boot, and then close the boot, and then you drive off. And then you arrive at your destination, you go in the boot, and their bag is still in there. You thought they took it out, but they didn't. They left it in there. So you opened up and had a look what's inside it. And then you leave it for a few seconds for the person to go, "What was it? What was inside it?" And you just turn around and go, "None of your fucking business." Anyway, love that joke. Anyway, yeah. When it comes to personal things like that, it drives me up the wall. Drives me up the fucking wall. Especially the children one. Because people don't know. Fuck off. Just don't ask. And when you get married, and we ask this of kids, don't we? Oh, you got a little boyfriend, you've got a little girlfriend. And I just think it's like, no, just leave them be. Don't put pressure on them to go one way or another, or to, make them feel like they're inadequate because they don't have a girlfriend or they don't have a boyfriend, or maybe they're a little boy and they like other little boys. Do you know what I mean? Like, just leave them to it. Just stop fucking. It's a older generation thing, I think, that sort of prying into people's personal affairs. Anyway, yeah, we'll get off the point here. Basically, the fifth question was on the trial by jury. The sixth question was on about saying that there are fewer police officers now, which I was like, what? Hey, and I said what? And I could see on the other benches, like everyone was like, there's fewer police officers now? Are you kidding me? To which Lammy Storm says 16,000 police officers were lost in the last Tory government. Also, we had the biggest fall in living standards, waiting lists in the NHS going through the roof, crime went up, they cut defence to the fucking bone, they lifted no children out of poverty, in fact they plunged millions of children into poverty. It was just like, what the fuck? So yeah, that was, and like I say, it wasn't a great performance by James Cleverly, and there was a little gag at the beginning where Lammy said if you were better at your numbers, then you might be able to, if you're better at adding up, you could be doing this every week. But yeah, that's a reference to the fact that Lammy thought he was clever Cleverly thought that he was being cleverly. He cleverly decided to try and get people on side and support a different MP to be leader, and his sums didn't add up, and he ended up not winning. When he was actually, I think he was the favourite to win, actually. I will actually say, though, to have two persons of colour, I don't really like that expression. I wish we had a better one, but basically two people with ethnic backgrounds, minority ethnic backgrounds, let's put it that way, that's the best way to put it, standing up at the dispatch box for Prime Minister's questions. That's great. It shows that we're getting there. We are getting there. I know it's taken a long fucking time. There are no trans people in fucking Parliament. There's no gay men in the fucking Premiership. In the Premier League, there's not a single gay man. There's 650 people who in the Premier League. 650 men, and not one of them is gay. Oh, come on. Sean, I hate that. I sat with people who say waste of a woman. I did speak out. Usually, have you looked in the mirror? You ain't an opinion to have him out of the way. When the literal baby, he's going to be a real ladies' man. Yeah, clusterbungle. As a gay man, I was always trolled by straight women. What a waste. Well, oh my God. Really, Sean? You were of what? Of what? This whole thing about passing on your DNA, it's gone within 7 generations. It's been diluted so much in 7 generations. All the traces of you are gone anyway. So fuck that you gotta You got to have kids. Oh, it's such a disappointment. You know, I've heard that from people where they've said, oh, if my son turned out to be gay, it'd be such a disappointment. And I go, why? They go, oh, because they wouldn't have kids. I'm like, well, would you be disappointed in them if they got testicular cancer and they couldn't have fucking kids? Joe, would you be like sympathetic and loving, or would you be disappointed? You know, I want some grandchildren to play with. Oh, fuck off. Yeah, I just think that some people they can't see beyond themselves at all. And yet the trans community, that a problem forcing sexuality of kids because logic. Yeah, you're forcing kids to be trans. Just leave kids alone. Let them be kids. You know, there were no racist kids. There were no bigoted kids. Kids learn bigotry from their parents. You put a bunch of 4-year-olds in a room together and they could be different sexualities. They could be different. I don't even think about sex. They're 4 years old, for fuck's sake. But they can be all different backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, from different countries, different parts of the world, different social class, everything different about them, and they will get on. They just go into a room and they'll just invent a game and start playing it, because that's what kids do. It's us going, oh no, you got to be a certain way, dressing the boys in blue and the girls in pink, giving the Barbies to the girls, and if a boy wants a Barbie, oh no, boys can't have Barbies. You know, and we do this all the time. I've talked sometimes about barbecues being invented in the 1950s as a way to get men cooked. Well, G.I. Joe, or Action Man as it's called in this country, was a way of making boys play with dolls. That was it. Oh no, you can't play with a Barbie, so we'll have to make it. You know, it's the same company. It's Mattel. It's the same company. These are the same fucking molds that they used for Ken to make Action Man. You know, just here's a soldier to dress up. What's the soldier? Oh, he kills people. That's his job. He's a killer. He's a professional killer. That's what boys should play with. You know, boys who want to play with dolls can have Action Men. That whole thing of gendered commodities. I mean, the most ridiculous one for me, I think, is Pepsi Max and Coke Zero. So Pepsi Max and Coke Zero are pretty much exactly the same recipe as Diet Pepsi and Diet Coke, but they realised that only women were drinking Diet Coke. But I mean, it was marketed to women. You know, the 11 o'clock Coke break. I mean, I would have joined the women on that one. But I mean, you know, just it was targeted towards women. And if you got a Diet Coke at the pub, when all your mates were drinking, you know, real ale or whatever, it was seen as effeminate. It was seen as gay. And so Coca-Cola were like, oh, what we've got to do? Well, let's change the name of it. So it's not about having a diet, and we'll make it black, because black's a cool colour, isn't it? And Pepsi's like, oh, Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, that doesn't sound... Let's call it Max, because, like, you know, Max is a real good man's name. It's a manly name, except for women called Maxine, of course. But I know a few Maxes. My mate's daughter has had boyfriend, girlfriend, currently on boyfriend. She's 13, leave kids alone. I know that because her mum told me. Yeah. If any Premiership players are secretly gay, how would we know? Well, exactly, War and Peace. We wouldn't. There are no out players, and over 600 players, 600 professional players in the Premiership, and not one of them is gay. I mean, the statistics alone are like, no way, absolutely no way. I just buy my niece and nephew dinosaur themed stuff because dinosaurs are awesome. Yeah. Dinosaurs are awesome. Dinosaur in space. Best question to ask a kid is, what's your favorite dinosaur? Honestly, you meet a kid for the first time, your friend's kid or whatever, you say, oh yeah, especially at the age like 6-7 years old, what's your favorite dinosaur? They will always have a favorite dinosaur. Okay, so moving on, we've got John Grady from Labour. He stood up and talked about child protection in Glasgow. I mean, this was an excuse to have a dig at the SNP, Glasgow Council. But you know, this is a serious matter. Child protection across the country hasn't been great for years. It hasn't. He told a particularly chilling story of a child who was banging on the window, you know, to the social worker, you know, pleading to be taken out of the situation that the kid was in, and that being ignored, just fucking hell. Anyway, then Daisy Cooper, who I love Daisy Cooper. She's fucking brilliant. She's a Lib Dem. She's the deputy Lib Dem leader, and she got up and she just slammed into Matt Farage something rotten, so much so that the fucking chuckle dickheads, the Tice and Puchin and Leanderthal were actually, they couldn't suppress a grin, because she was just like having an absolute go at him. And then she said, he said that leave means leave, but obviously it doesn't. It means leave and then come back after an election, a by-election. And she suggests that they delay the resignation because it is in the government's gift to delay the resignation of an MP. As we discussed this morning, it's that you have to be appointed to this group called the Chiltern Hundreds, or there's another one. And unless you're appointed to that group, you don't get to resign, right? You can't resign. You have to be essentially put into a position where you're not allowed to stand as MP. And then it's a ceremonial position, and then you give it up immediately, and then you can run as MP again. And it's a daft system, but it means that MPs can't just resign every 5 seconds and cause a by-election, because by-elections are expensive. Anyway, so she slammed Farage, and then Lammy stood up and slammed him fucking harder. Oh my God. Frogage is for rejoin now. Thanks very much, SG. That is very kind of you for the super chat, and it also allows me to do this. Yay! Confetti! Woo! Yeah. It's very exciting on shows like this where we don't really tend to get much in the way of super chats. When we do get super chat, it needs to be celebrated with confetti, I feel. I don't think that's too over the top. But yeah, really good skewing of Farage. However, Lammy did not say that he was going to delay the Labour weren't going to delay the resignation until the investigation is complete. I didn't really say whether they're going to continue the investigation if Farage wins and comes back in as an MP, which I assume they will do. It's in their power to do it. And I can't see anyone in the standards committee going, "Oh no, we don't want to do that." Think of poor old Farage, you know. So next up we had Lammy said Farage has got serious questions to answer. Labour won't be part of the by-election circus. Neither the Tories or the Lib Dems or Restore or the Greens. All of a sudden, no, we're not being part of this. And he suggested that the by-election would be a two-horse race between Farage and Count Binface, but he didn't address the two direct questions that she asked. And then the next question was a more serious question. She had to wait for the house to die down a little bit, but she talked about a man who was an MI5 working for MI5, and he was defended in court. Right, an agent. He was defended in court by MI5, right? After he attacked his girlfriend with a machete. And apparently MI5 gave false evidence in this case. And she said, we need an apology. And also we need the Hillsborough bill coming in next week before recess. She wants to make sure that security services are fully covered in the Hillsborough law. Now, Labour, when they got in 2 years ago, they wanted to bring the Hillsborough law in. Very quickly, just to explain what the Hillsborough law is it's a law of candour, so that public officials, when there is an investigation going on, they are compelled by law to tell the truth. At the moment, they're not. They can just fucking lie. You know, they're not under oath, effectively. And the cover-ups have resulted in things like the cover-up that resulted after the Hillsborough tragedy, which ended up killing 97 people. Absolute fucking tragedy, which happened because of the police. The police fucked up. And then the media made it out like it was all the fans' fault when it wasn't. Anyways, Lammy has said that the bill will be back in the Commons in the coming days. But the bill has been held up because the campaigner, they're trying to reach an agreement with campaigners for this bill. The government's trying to reach an agreement with the campaigners to the extent which the bill will fully apply to the security services. And this case that Daisy Cooper highlighted brilliantly in her question about this MI5 agent who was protected by the MI5, even though he attacked his girlfriend with a fucking machete. So that was that. And then we had Emily Darlington, who was asking if the government will back an amendment that she has tabled to the representation of the people bill intended to stop deep fakes being used to mislead voters. And Lammy he gave a bit of a non-answer to this. I feel he just said he agreed that legal protections must keep pace with evolving threats. So, yeah, I would have just said yes if it was me, but, I can't say things like that. Ellie Chown stood up and made a case for proportional representation. And, I know the battered questions about this away before, but the way he battered this away, he talked about a particular Green candidate who had called both Lammy and another MP coconuts, which is a racist comment on the colour of their skin. They're brown on the outside, white on the inside, because they're seen as these people who support what white people want to do. Coconut is a really... don't use it. Do not use that to refer to people. I know, even people who... I guess if you're of that community, then maybe fair enough. But if you're not, don't fucking use it. Anyway, so he talked about that. It's not a great response. Do you know what I mean? Like, she was asking about proportional representation. He goes, well, you got some racists in your party. Okay, well, how did that answer the question? I was really disappointed in that. Really disappointed. Anyway, next up, we had Douglas McAllister, who stood up and went, 2 years of Labour, yay! And then Lammy stood up and went, 3 years to go, yay! Then James McMurdoch, who famously went to jail for beating up his girlfriend so badly that he went to jail for it, stood up and talked about two-tier bollocks about fucking the law being 2 tiers, and he stumbled over his words and he kept repeating himself, and he was just fucking shit. He is a fucking shit MP. He's a fucking shit human being. He came in and it was part of Refork, and now he wants to get back into Refork. So Lammy just asked him about the fact that the National Crime Agency is investigating Nigel Farage's for £5 million fucking pound gift. Sean, I love that show in my teens. Scalafame, a fantastical world where justice existed. I almost went into law as a result, and then discovered my passion for writing. Oh, that's brilliant. OMH, Sean, you just triggered a memory. A bigger digger and a big truck would play for hours in the sand, loading and dumping. Yep. The thing is, I can only count on one hand the number of people I've felt sexual or romantic attraction to. I only really feel comfortable when my mum asks if I feel really uncomfortable when my mum asks me if I've met anyone. Yeah, it's just that I'll let you know. Do you know what I mean? Like, mums do this. Like, hi mum, if you're watching, but like, are you hungry? Do you want anything? Do you want anything to eat? Do you want something? Oh, I've got some biscuits. I've got some crackers. I've got some. And if you're trying to lose weight, especially with Scouse mums, I don't know what it is with Scouse mums, but they're like, here, have something. And it's like, I don't think they get the point that if you're hungry, you'll eat, because you get hungry. If you're not eating, you're probably not hungry. And you probably don't need people offering you food all the time, because I like food. Food's great. If it was a heroin addict and he kept offering me heroin all the time, I'd go, no. And there's some Scouse mums, not my Scouse mum particularly, but like other Scouse mums, where you say no to a chocolate and they look at you like, you just told them to fuck off and die. And you're like, it's okay, I just don't want a chocolate. You don't want a chocolate? You don't want a chocolate? It's like, no, I don't. I'm okay. Oh. Well, I'll just leave them here. I just leave them here for you, in front of you, so you can use your willpower to not eat the chocolate. Go on, Graham. Don't eat the chocolate. And you're sitting there for like an hour going, I really want a chocolate now. But I know that if I eat it, it'll be like the Scouse mum will be like, I saw you eat the chocolate. Oh, you ate you did want the chocolate after all. I win. Yeah, just leave people to it, Leave people to it. Just this ain't no, I'm fine. Take them on their word, okay? I'm sure there's not many, unless they look like poor old bloody girl from Sam and Cat. What's her name? Ariana Grande. They look like Ariana Grande. Fine, offer them food. Offer them all the food, okay? Just give them food. Just put food all around them and don't let them leave till they've eaten some of it. But yeah, there's people saying, I'm trying to lose weight, and you're offering them food. Stop offering them food. Stop it. Someone says, I'm trying to stop the cigarettes. Don't offer them cigarettes. If someone doesn't bring up the fact they don't have kids, or they're not married, or they're not in a relationship, don't bring it up. Don't say, oh, why haven't you found someone yet? What a question to ask. Fucking hell. I've been single for a while. It is fucking, it can be grim sometimes. It can be like, what's wrong with me? Am I doing this wrong? I got to a point in my life where I honestly believed that I lost the capacity to love. I was meeting people and I was just meh about everyone, everything. I was just like, what's going on? Anyway, I used to play with my sisters. Graham pointing at the chocolate there. Pointing at this camera then. Your country needs you to eat the chocolate. Yeah, eat the chocolate. My ex-wife's gran asked when we would hear the patter of tiny feet. Ex got answered, we got a cat already. Excellent. They creep me out since the MGM Plus series from where the music stops and all hell breaks loose. What's that? What's that? Is that like a music box or something? You're describing my Scottish mums from my personal experience. No, I don't want any fucking food. Do I look like I'm wasting away? Yeah, I think we've all had this experience. Anyway, I know they're just trying to be nice. They're not trying to be horrible. They're not trying to fuck you up, but, you know, it's a bit much. Anyway, next up, we've got Noah Law from Labour, who talked about Cornwall and doing better shit for every postcode or whatever Andy Burnham's slogan is. Lammy just stood up and went, yeah, right. Ross Savage stood up next and talked about sewage, talking about we record sewage by hours of outlet, and then she said that there's a difference between a trickle and a spurt or something. I was like, sorry, stop laughing, Graham. But yes, obviously, a gush, a trickle or a gush. I know I've got a dirty mind, but sorry. Anyway, she said there's a difference between a trickle and a gush, and she's right. If you monitor how much shit is being put into the water, but it's measured by hours, but you're not measuring the volume, you're not measuring the concentration, then, you know, these companies are getting away with stuff because they're going, oh, we were only polluting it for an hour, but they put like 100 million fucking tons of shit in the river in that hour. Lammy stood up and said, she was a Lib Dem actually, Ross Savage asking about that. Really good question. Lammy stands up and said, you know, we've inherited record levels of pollution, and he talked about the clean water bill and putting, you know, the people in charge of the water companies in jail, etc. Which we're yet to see. We're yet to see, but when we do, that'll be great. Then we had Kat Eccles standing up for, I think, her first ever question in PMQs. I've never seen her before. And she talked about some fucking shuttle thing. And God, she prattled on about this fucking shuttle thing. And I hate the fact that it was a woman prattling on because everyone else in the house was just talking because they were like, what's she going on about? What's going on? She's talking about a shuttle. And it's got better punctuality than some of them. And I didn't know what the question was. I honestly zoned out. I zoned out. I just feel like I should defend the fact that when women speak a lot in Parliament, they are drowned out by men who are being disrespectful by talking over them. But in this case, I mean, I can't think it was fair enough. It was just like, what are you prattling on about? Just tell us what the fucking... Get to the point. Get to the... It's my ADHD, obviously, there coming to the fore. I'm sorry, Kat. You know, I'm sure you're a lovely person, but you didn't have to ask a 2-minute long question about some fucking shuttle thing in your constituency. And not an exciting shuttle like a space shuttle. She was talking like a little train thing. It's like a little train that goes eight. She said how far it went in miles, and then she said in kilometers as well. I'm like, that need to be in there, you know? Did that need to be in there? There's my editor head coming in of like, you know, arrive late, get out early, you know, every scene. Don't double up saying the same thing. That's what AI does. Maybe a question was written by AI. And that's why there's so much doubling up on it. I don't know. Anyway, so Lammy stood up and said, Great British Rail. And I sat down again, pretty much. Helen Morgan next. She talked about a roundabout in her constituency, Liberal Democrat. She talked about a roundabout. Okay, cool. But then she said, don't cut transport for defence. And she talked about bonds. She talked about James Bonds. No, defence bonds. And... which I agree with. I think we should have defence bonds. I think that's a really good idea. I think it's a really, really good idea. And Lammy went, maybe. He didn't say no. He didn't say yes. He just went, maybe. Gallifreyan went, maybe that's why PMQs makes me so grumpy. My inner editor is losing her rag. Well, that's how I felt, Gallifreyan men, in that. I was like, why do you need to give the distance? Full stop. Never mind in miles and kilometres and fathoms and fucking acres and whatever else, feet, inches. Why? What? I don't get. Just chains. Well, it's actually 27 chains, which equates to, I mean, fucking hell. Next up, we have Pam Cox. Now, this was an interesting question. This is about Ruth Ellis. Ruth Ellis was the last woman who was executed in this country. She was hanged in 1955 and she was abused by her partner, who was a racing driver, I think. She talked about this was a Labour question, so obviously this is set up in advance. Say, ask me a question about this, so I can say this. So in response, Lammy had an announcement to make. He said, "I have the honour to say that His Majesty the King has accepted our advice to grant Ruth Ellis a conditional pardon, the last woman to be hanged. While the pardon does not claim she was innocent of killing David Blakely, she did. She shot him. It replaces the death penalty with a sentence of life imprisonment to recognise a profound injustice in this exceptional case. And I'm just like, okay, she's dead. So that doesn't really help. She's been dead for 70 years. It really doesn't help. But like, she's still guilty of the crime, but they've commuted it to a life sentence because they took into the account that she was beaten by her husband. She was beaten by her husband so badly she had a fucking miscarriage. Let's put some context on this, okay? Just declare her innocent. What fucking difference does it make anymore? Just say, yeah, you know, he fucking deserved to die. She was defending herself after years of fucking abuse. We're going to strike that from the... No, we're going to make it like, I don't know. Did anyone else feel that way? It was just like, what? I think Gallifreyan Man picked up on it in the chat, and she said, "Yeah, what did they just say? Did they? Because I was thinking the same thing. Then I was thinking, did I hear that right? I'm going to make the proud announcement that the woman who was hung, she shouldn't have been hung for that. That's a terrible thing. She should have got a life sentence instead." What? Do you think it's going to encourage women to go around killing their husbands if you say, well, actually, you know, there's something to be said in this particular case, that she was defending herself after years of abuse? Yeah. Imperial is okay for estimating things, but shit for precision. That is very true. That is why Americans, although they love the imperial system, they buy their bullets in metric. Because they got to be pretty precise. Uzi 9mm, etc. Exactly what my partner just said. What's the point? Yeah, it is. Like, what the fuck? I mean, I think it's one of the shittest pardons of all time. It's not for someone who's alive, for a start. It's someone who's long dead. And they just said, well, you know, in this particular case, looking at it, she was defending herself after years of abuse. Had an absolute fucking nightmare of a husband. So next up we had Gregory Campbell, who's from the DUP. Oh, God. Honestly, when the DUP stand up in the Commons, I'm just like, oh, God, here we go. And he went, oh, there's fraud and error in the benefit system. Lammy stood up and went, yeah, whatever. This is the United States of whatever. Then we had Luke Murphy for Labour, who was talking about Gurkhas' pensions. This is unbelievable. Like, Gurkhas do just as much work as anyone else in the British Army, right? They're in the British Army. There's as much work as everything else. They don't get the pensions. They get the same pensions as people get who are British. There's people come over from Nepal to be Gurkhas to fight with our lads, with our girls in on the front line, put themselves into exquisite fucking danger. Gurkhas have won more bloody Victoria Crosses per person than any other group in you know, any if they were a city in the UK, they'll have the most fucking Victoria Crosses per capita, and yet they're not given the same financial settlements as everyone else in the army. It's just fucking wrong. I know absolutely fabulous woman, you know, the Avengers, the old one, not the silly one. What's it called? The Joanna Lumley. Joanna Lumley is big for pushing for Gurkhas' rights. So Lammy replied, ministers have met for constructive discussions, which is nice. Rebecca Paul, Tory. Only the second Tory other than James Cleverly to ask a question. She stood up and she she talked about a business, a bakery that was founded in 1937, the business going under. To which Larry said, we're backing businesses, we've got lowest business rates in the G7, and we've got 365 billion in private investments since the last 2 years. So he didn't really answer the question. And yeah, I do think that's bakeries and pubs and cafes and things in the city centres need protection. I really do. I think that the government should be doing everything in their power to tax the out of town warehouse boxes, the Amazon stuff, and we need a complete overhaul of how we do stuff in city centres. City centres, the old traditional things that we used to do in city centres don't exist anymore. Everyone buys stuff online. You know, we go to supermarkets. We don't have the same, even at the end of the road. You know, we used to do all our shopping at the end of the road. We don't do that anymore. We drive to a supermarket, which is not great for the environment. And then finally, we have Florence Eshalomi, who is a Labour MP, talking about the South Bank Centre for some reason, which I fucking hate. And she said, oh, it brings people together. It brought people together. I'm like, yeah, what, to say how fucking ugly it is? It just looks like a bunch of arse. If I had my way, it would be demolished and I'd have a park. I'll plant some fucking trees, some nice, organic, beautiful trees with blossom in the spring. You know, beautiful blossom. I'll put benches there. I'd have little places for kids to play and run down the hill. I'd have little kids' playground. It would look fucking lovely on the banks of the, you know, a hill on the banks of the Thames, where the people who work in London can go on a sunny day and put out a blanket and lie down in the sun and just, you know, chill the fuck out. But instead we've got this disgusting, it looks like a military base. It looks like a military base where you store nuclear weapons or submarines or something. And people go, oh, the South Bank, oh, it's beautiful. It's fucking ugly. And do you know what? If you are in one of those fucking flats that they have in the Barbican, those fucking flats, have you ever been in one? I have, right? Basically, it's a concrete rectangle. It's a concrete box, right? But one side of it is a window facing the sun, facing south. And the sun comes up, and you better have some really fucking thick fucking, I don't know, what's it called? Curtains. Absolutely horrible. The corridors are not kept clean. It stinks of piss. It's just fucking horrible. But some people love it. I'm sure there's going to be someone in the chat who's like, I think it's the most beautiful thing ever. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But if that building was a person, that person would be Anne Widdecombe, as far as I'm concerned. That is a building I would not want to fuck. That's all I'm saying. It's a completely unfuckable building. The Taj Mahal, on the other hand, that's pretty fuckable building, you know. The Taj Mahal bought me a couple of drinks. I'll be like, oh yeah, I could think about that. But the South Bank Centre, go to the National Theatre. It's fucking horrible. I saw a fantastic play, the His Dark Materials, that was staged at the National Theatre. It was the only place it could be staged because they had this wonderful thing where they had the revolving stage with the different worlds on 3 different levels, and it turned around, and there was another 3 levels on the back of the third stage when it turned around. It's fucking amazing, technically, but God, it's an ugly fucking building. It's a bit like the Sydney Opera House. I fucking hate that as well. I just think it looks like a bunch of clitoral hoods. And inside, it's horrible. Close up, it's horrible. It's, you know the white tiles, you know, those vertical white tiles that they absolutely fucking loved in the 1960s. Everything had to be covered in vertical white tiles, like it was a gentleman's urinal. That's what we did in the urinals, vertical tiles. So you pissed on the tiles, yeah. But that had to be on the outside of all buildings. So it's got that on the outside of it, like the space shuttle or something. And then once you're inside, it's just concrete. Like, and the sound is, the acoustics are awful, absolutely awful. What's it called? The Sydney Opera House. Well, first of all, it's got nothing to do with Sydney because it was designed by some Dane, some fucking Danish fella turned up, some fella from the other side, some white fella from the other side of the fucking world. Does it say anything about Aboriginal culture? Does it fuck, right? So he turned, I should have put this in room 101, I reckon. Sydney Opera House, fuck him. I hate it. I think it's shite. I think it's absolutely shite. You know, what's the second word? Opera. So it's got nothing to do with Sydney. And what's it got to do with opera? What the fuck has it got to do with opera? You can't sing in there, you know, because the walls are made of concrete. The walls are made of reinforced concrete. It's like trying to sing in a multi-story car park. It's shite. It's like trying to sing in a cave. Fucking, let's all go into the cave to have a sing-song. The echoes off the wall. The acoustics are fucking awful. Absolutely fucking awful. The reverb, it's shite. It's absolutely shite. And then the last word, house. It's not a fucking house. It's a big fuck-off building. Well, it's not a house. Who fucking lives there? It's a house? How is that a house? Are you fucking mad? Are you a mouse that lives in a fucking house that's shaped like 3 fucking clitoral hoods in a row? What the no, fuck off. I hate it. I hate everything about it. It is shite. And do you know what they did in the inside? Because the outside was designed by this Danish fella. The inside was designed by the Sydney City Council or something. and so it's all just it's you know when you have a multi-story car park and they have the I think they're called ribs or something of concrete, you know, and what they've done to try and deaden the sound as it hits them, you know. You need baffle boards everywhere or something, you know, all over the walls essentially. But instead of doing that, they got some really cheap carpet. You know, the cheapest carpet that you get. You know when you had you rented a house in the 1990s and they would have that cord carpet. You know, the cheapest one that was only like, I don't know, 15 quid per square meter or something. It was the cheapest one you could get, and it was about this thick. And it was corded. It was like corduroy, but a carpet. It was horrible to walk on in bare feet. You know that? Yeah? They stuck that to the wall with glue, on the ceilings. They stuck it on with glue. And it's fallen off in some places. Honestly, it is shite. And it's purple as well. I think it's fucking purple. Of all the colours they could have picked. It's fucking purple. What the fuck? You put this purple carpet on the wall. It's like the reflecting pool. That's what it is. It's a fucking what Trump has done to the reflecting pool. That's what they tried to do with this in the Opera House. They were like, oh, we need some ways to stop the sound from bouncing off the walls and creating really, really bad phonics in this apparent opera house that we can't even fucking stage an opera in because it will sound shit. Fucking shite. Fucking shite. If they got someone who was Aboriginal in to design that and say, look, this is the spirit of my people. This is our art. This is our culture. This is our heritage. But no, they got some fucking cracker from the other side of the fucking planet, from Denmark, and he didn't get to finish the job. They took it off him. They said, nah, sorry. Done the outside. That'll do. We'll do the inside. Fucking knock it down. Knock it down. Build a park. Anyway, sorry, just let me get off my high horse here. Anyways, in response, Lammy said we must stand united. Okay, cool. I think Florence was trying to make this thing about the, you know, we're very divided, but the World Cup and has shown that we need to come together, and she gave the South Park Centre as an example. But yeah, South Bank. Oh no, was it South Park Centre? Okay, I don't know. I thought she said South Bank. I was going on about the South Bank, which I hate. Maybe she said South Park, which is, you know, the place where Cartman lives and Kyle and Stan. If that's the point, then if that's what she was talking about, then fair enough. I take it back, Florence. I'm very sorry. I didn't read my notes very well there. But she talked about things to come together. We should all come together. And Lammy said, yes, we should all come together. Which is, you know, what everyone wants to achieve, really, in life, relationships. JC, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Built a wooden fishing catamaran with a Canadian engineer mate. Imperial was much more useful and applicable. 1/16, 1/32, etc. Yeah. I thank you very much for the super chat, and it allows me to do this. Confetti. But yes, thank you very much for that. Okay, beautiful civic architecture stopped being built around World War One. No, I think you could make a case for it continuing on till World War Two. I think World War Two was the end of it. It was the coming of the nuclear age. It was because they thought, well, what's the point of building anything nice when it could all get blown up tomorrow? So they stopped building things that were nice. Used to argue with my dad about it. The stinger was, I used a cubic yard of water. How much does it weigh? A litre of water weighs a kilo. And Widdicombe, somewhere a swamp is missing a tag. Oh, while we're changing units of measurement to replace all units with Dalek rels, groats, cubits, rels. Wrote Ren, I'll be comprehensively wrong. Cubits. Yeah. Okay, who's fucking buildings? Gurkha's a scary as fucking battle. Yes. Yeah. A Spitfire just flew over. Well, that's cool. I zoned out on on her question, talking about the question. Was that Des? Were you talking about the question on the shuttle? The shuttle. That's. I mean, come on, this is probably your one chance to stand up in Parliament and ask a fucking question, and that was it? Inside every Dalek, there's a Zippy plotting revenge. No, inside every Dalek is a Khalid. Mutated Khalid. Graham's New Record monument. Graham's New Record time fucking every monument around the world. Only the sexy ones, L. Only the ones that fuck. Our bins are purple, Graham. What the fuck? Yeah, I know, but I don't want purple. Do you want purple carpet? Purple bins are funny. Right, you know why they've got purple bins in Liverpool? Because half the council wanted them to be red, obviously, for LFC, and half of them wanted them to be blue for EFC. So the council came together as one and said we should have purple bins because that's halfway between blue and halfway between red. Problem was sunk cost fallacy, kept hold of him uselessly for years. What terrible building. Real pain is, I was thinking about London prices. Mate of mine was in the industry and they dreaded getting parts from the USA piss poor tolerances. Anyway, I still think they used doubloons for water, so it's all academic really. What's a doubloon in old money? Not when I come to power, but doubloons would be only used by cats under my regime. I love that. How many doubloons for a cubit of cats, man? So I can prepare my finances. I love the conversation going on here. This is brilliant. Zippy and the Daleks had the same voice actor. Oh, really? Terry Nation, was it? No, he's the guy who invented Daleks. It wasn't Terry Nation did the voice, was it? He's the guy who invented Daleks. Purple is a very fun colour, says Petro. Yeah, in the right places. Purple is a very, very difficult colour to make. You had to crush thousands and thousands of some particular fucking sea snail or something to make purple. And that's why purple was the colour of the kings, colour of monarchy. And it's why there's only 2 flags in the world that have purple in the flag, because it was such a hard colour to make. One of them is, I want to say, Dominica or Grenada. I think it's Dominica. They have a parrot on the flag of Dominica in the, I'm going to look it up. Dominica flag. Yeah, they've got a parrot in the middle of their flag, and it has a purple Cicero parrot in the middle of it. It's one of the only flags with purple. What is the other flag with purple in it? Go on, quick question for the chat. Don't Google it. Don't global it. Don't global it. Don't globble it. Catch Hughes, kick coin. We're all going mad in the heat, Graham. It's fine. It used to be purple, now much easier to make. Yes, obviously it's easier to make now, but back in the day, having purple clothes was like how many sea creatures had to die for that piece of cloth. I think pieces of 8 were named for the shape. I thought pieces of 8 were like, it was an 1/8 of gold. It was an 1/8 of a gold sovereign or something. So you'd have 8 of them would make an entire sovereign. Roy Skeleton was one of the Dalek voices. He was also the voice of Zippy. Ow, ow, ow. Zippy, Zippy, Zippy. There was a clip of Zippy, wasn't there, that was going around of what's it called, of him not being happy with the doing an impression of Nigel Farage. Cat's going out for a run. I was supposed to follow her on my bike. Zippy exterminate, of course. My name's Zippy. Oh, here we go. I'll play this for you. Here we go. Oh, hang on. Oh, there you go. This is the sound of Nigel Farage.
He likes me. Nobody wants to be my friend. Well, I don't want to be friends with any of you again. Never ever. Especially you.
Nigel Farage yesterday. That was the sound of Nigel Farage. Especially you. I don't want you to be anything. I'm going to get my knob pierced. He did Zippy and George. Don't know how he managed to make Zippy talk over George. Don't know. Very clever man. All new Hugh Daleks are Nicholas Briggs. That's who it was. Nicholas Briggs. Purple powder would have cost 8 groats under my regime. Purple dye liquid 10 doubloons and 12 on every other day. Cool. Did actually find a picture of the actual Mark of the Beast, an Emperor Nero coin. That's pretty cool. People just laughing and Zippy going, I don't want to be friends with any of you. We need to get Nigel Farage and make his lips move like Zippy. Peak comedy. Anyway, did anyone know what the other flag was before I go with purple on it? I don't think anyone got it. In the chat, just looking. Nurple Land. No, it wasn't Nurple Land. It wasn't Purple Nurple. No, it was Nicaragua. They got a little rainbow. They got a little tiny rainbow with a Papa Smurf's hat floating above it for some reason in the light. It's like there's a big sunbeam with a Papa Smurf hat. It's one of my little things that I love about the flags of the world. There's about 6 of them that have a secret Papa Smurf's hat in the flag for some reason. Because it's a pharyngeal hat or something. It's a hat that represents the workers, but it looks like it's a red Papa Smurf hat. Nicaragua says, blah, blah, CW. So, you were too late. You were too late. Blah, blah, CW, back in the class. No, I'm joking. You can have a gold star and a jelly baby for getting it right. It was. So, we so that my answer. Ow, 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 ow. I don't want to be friends with any of you, especially you. Anyway, listen, I gotta go. I'm gonna jump on my bike and chase after Cat. Make someone faster. I will love you and leave you. I'll see you at 6 o'clock tonight, where me and my good friend Scott are going to jump down the rabbit hole together, and we're going to do Room 101. So he's going to be listing his things that he wants to put in Room 101. And I know what the top of his list is because he's made a few videos about this. It's going to be children at festivals. He doesn't want children at festivals. So if you want to join us for that, it should be a laugh. Anything but politics. We're not going to be talking about politics. 6 o'clock tonight, 6 till 7. And until then, I just say thank you so much for watching. And until we meet again, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye. Goodbye.
Likes me. Nobody wants to be my friend. Well, I don't want to be friends with any of you again. Never ever. Especially you.